Welcome back to my channel at The Movie Optimist, everybody. I just got done watching the newest film, Wolfman, directed by Leigh Whannell. Leigh Whannell is also known for doing things like Invisible Man and Upgrade, and here he's tackling the iconic creature in Wolfman for a 2025 reimagining. This film stars Christopher Abbott playing a character named Blake. In the beginning of this movie, we learned that his father has recently passed away and left his entire farm in the mountains of Colorado to him, and he has to get in a U-Haul and essentially drive all the way out to Colorado, pack his dad's stuff up, and get the house ready to be sold. However, he decides that he wants to use this time traveling all the way up there and spending a month there packing with his wife and daughter, so he invites them up there in the hopes that it'll fix their broken marriage. They said it very early on that they're kind of struggling, they don't get along that much anymore or see eye to eye, and he hopes that the road trip up there and them bonding will rekindle old flames. So reluctantly, she says yes, and they bring their daughter, and they make it about 90% of the way there before Christopher Abbott actually steers the car off the road and hits into a tree to avoid hitting a man that was just randomly standing on the side of the street. Once they come to and they regain their consciousness, they're attacked by some kind of animal that scratches Christopher Abbott's arm. They manage to get away by the skin of their teeth and make a run for the house, which is only a couple yards away, and they do get inside safe, but Christopher Abbott learns that he's slowly starting to change and something's happening to him, and it's up to them to figure out how to survive as a family until the following morning. That's all I'll say about the plot here. The thing right off the bat that I'll say that I really liked about this movie is the first half of this movie is a lot of character development, and depending on what you kind of want in a film, you may or may not like that. If you just want to get right into the creature violence and the cool character designs and everything, you're going to spend half this movie not really getting that. But the reason why I like that is because you really care about these people once shit starts hitting the fan. Yes, Christopher Abbott and his wife aren't getting along, but they do a really good job setting up the relationship between Christopher Abbott and his daughter. He truly loves her and wants to be a good dad, and because his wife is often working a lot more than he is, he's often spending a lot more time with her than the mom is, so they grow this great relationship over the first half of this movie. So when he slowly starts to turn and he starts losing control of his ability to protect them as a family against these animals,
werewolves,
that are hunting them from outside, it's really devastating. Like, you really feel bad for him. And if they didn't have that in this movie, and it was just another, like, family going up to the woods, you get no character development, and then shit hits the fan, like, you wouldn't really care. But that's where the heart is in this movie, that he's fighting this inner battle where he's literally transforming into a werewolf, but he's trying tooth and nail to regain his memories of them and know who they are through this transformation so that he doesn't attack them, but could instead use this ability to protect them from the horrors outside. And I thought that was really, really compelling. Another thing I really loved about this movie is the atmosphere and the set design and the lighting. The composition of this movie is beautiful, and you often find that with lower budgeted horror movies where they're not relying on a lot of green screen and the volume to do everything, so they have to really go to real locations and light it in ways that you could see it, and it just looks so beautiful. Obviously, you have films like Dune that have these massive budgets that still have very beautiful cinematography, but a lot of the times watching movies, everything's very flat. There's not a lot of attention to contrast or lighting, and this movie looks remarkable. Like, truly, every scene in my head, I'm like, I know exactly how they lit this, and you know, that's just a thing. I'm a filmmaker on the side, so like I notice little things like that. But if you're into cinematography, this movie's a real treat for you. The sound design here is also a main character. They did such a good job with the sound design that half the scares in the film are from the things that you hear, not what you see. And I'm not talking about like jump scares. I'm talking about there's things that are making noises from outside windows. There's the sound of footsteps running up behind people when you know they're being chased by something, but the camera doesn't want you to see it. They just want you to hear it. And the score is super unsettling and unnerving. The acting is really good from Christopher Abbott and his daughter. And although Julia Garner in the last 20 minutes of this film has to really step up as a savior and hold her own, she's great there. But the whole first 75% of the film, she's really just wasted. And it's such a shame because I love her in Ozark and I know what she's capable in terms of acting and performances. And they kind of water her down in the first half of this movie. This is really Christopher Abbott's movie, first and foremost. We're following him most of the time. Even when he's transitioning and he's fighting for his sanity to be able to remember what's going on and not fully transition into animalistic instincts, you're following him through all that. And the devastation that he's slowly starting to forget what his daughter is, who his daughter is, who his wife is. So yeah, it's mostly told from his point of view until that last 25%. So it's not really her fault as much as it's from a writing standpoint, but I still think she was good in the last 20%. And Christopher Abbott was incredible here. He showed up and he delivered exactly what was needed. This was one of my favorite performances from him. And when it comes to the violence in the last act of this film, it shows up and it delivers. It's super bloody, it's practical, you don't get no bullshit CGI. It's really uneasy to look at sometimes because of how realistic it looks. And again, the sound design that goes with it just makes for a great treat if you're a fan of like body horror. And I really liked how this movie concluded. I thought it was really tense, really violent, and it was earned. Like, it was very satisfying walking out of this film. But yeah, my only two problems with this film is that they wasted Julia Garner. Like, I was expecting way better of a performance out of her. And arguably the most important part, the creature design really kind of let me down here. Now, obviously, Leigh Whannell wanted to take his own spin on the werewolf, and they set up some lore in the very beginning of this movie with the opening credits about this universe's version of werewolves, or what a more scientific explanation of it could be. But I'm not gonna lie, at the end of the day, I really just wanted like an American Werewolf in London creature design. I wanted the full transformation where he grows the snout, he grows the long fingers, he grows all the hair, and he looks like a wolf in pants, essentially. But you don't get that. You get a human that gets a little hairy and gets some teeth and his fingernails get long, and that's really it. And it doesn't look bad. It's creepy looking, don't get me wrong. Like, it is a creepy design. But it's not American Werewolf in London, and that's kind of the bar for me with horror werewolf stuff. I didn't like the werewolf design in the remake with Benicio del Toro. I didn't like the design of it in Werewolf by Night, that Marvel thing. I want to see a motherfucking wolf in pants. That's what I want. I want to see a human transform painfully into that. And there is a little transformation scene in here where you could clearly tell it's painful, but his mouth just gets a little bit bigger and his teeth get a little bit longer, and he's not transforming into a wolf as much as he's just transforming into a bigger version of himself. So that was a big letdown, but the story overall, I was so invested in these characters. It's very simple. Obviously, it's just them surviving until sunrise. Don't go into this hoping for twists and turns around every corner. It's just survive. That's the story. And if you don't like that, probably not gonna like this movie. But I really dug it, and the ending really brought it home for me. So overall, I wound up really liking this movie. I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10. I wanted to give it an 8, but the creature design was such a disappointment that I'm knocking 2 points off for that. So 7 out of 10. Anyway, guys, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Are you excited to see this movie? Have I given you a reason to go to the movies to see it this weekend? If I have, let's talk about it. And if I haven't, let's talk about it. And as always, guys, I hope you have a great rest of your weekend, and I'll catch you next time.